making a tier list on this is kind of tough because when you get to higher tiers, how do you rank this? Because I think that definitely changes some things. So if I had to make a tier list, I would say this tier list in particular is going to be before Diamond because it's probably just the easiest. This is a very interesting game where a lot of people would say, "Oh my God, Hela's broken, Hawkeye's broken," which we put these two in S tier category just for the simple fact of like those two are just a pickup by anybody. I think those are automatically just goated characters, and I think they're very, very, very good. Jeff is a great healer, but he's not meta. I don't think Jeff is S at all. I think Jeff is probably a high B, and the only reason, I mean, he might even be borderline C, but like, to be honest with you, it's like very rarely am I going to see a character in the C or D category. Like, the only character that belongs in this category so far is probably this. I would say even Scarlet. Because Scarlet Witch, her ult, it needs to be comboed with probably Magneto, which is why they pair the two. But Scarlet is just asked for rank just because of the tanks and things like that. Very rarely are you going to get a good Scarlet ult off. Are you going to get a good Scarlet move off? Black Widow, you would just play Hawkeye, right? Like, your Black Widow is just not good. She doesn't have anywhere near the same headshot potential. I would say it's just not that good. Black Panther, in my opinion, is a high A, borderline S. And I feel this way with also Venom, and the you have to play it together. This falls into like the dive category. So it's kind of tough. This character, I'm going to put A. You really have to know what you're doing. Namor is just really good. I will also put Moon Knight in the A tier. Moon Knight is really, 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 really good because if you get your Onk off, you're always going to get a kill. More often than not, with an Onk plus like 2 melees, you're getting a kill. I would say it's really, really, really good against, like, yeah, the Brawl, the characters that kind of bunch up together and can kind of sit in the back line behind the tanks. Moon Knight is really good, and he builds his ult really fast. But not only that, Moon Knight's ultimate ability does so much damage, so much, in fact, that it can basically out-damage any heal that's going off. If they sit in a full Moon Knight ult, everybody dies. Like, no matter what you have on, besides, like, that Loki ability, I think. But I even think through that, I think it can kill. I don't know if it breaks the totem and then it kills you. But that character, Moon Knight, is so good. The reason why he's not S tier is just because I would like to put characters in a category where it's like, once you have this character in a team, you're more than, like, let's say you have a Hela or a Hawkeye and the enemy team doesn't, you're winning, right? Whereas, like, if the enemy team has a Moon Knight and you don't, you can still potentially win the game by playing different characters. These two characters are just, like, so oppressive that it's just, like, you need it. Kind of the same thing with Psylocke. I think Psylocke, it's tough. So again, we're talking about pre-Diamond. Pre-Diamond, before the bans, before everything, I would definitely consider her a high A. Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. Pre-Diamond, I'm going to put Namor S tier. Namor S tier, and I'll explain. Everybody has trouble with dive, right? A lot of these newer players that are playing in, especially, like, I just found out about this character. So what happens is Namor throws his squids, right? He throws his octopuses, right? Especially combined with Luna, which is an S tier healer. He's so good at protecting your back line. And a lot of people pre-Diamond, they play the Black Panther, they play the Psylocke, they play these characters that are going to be kind of in that back line. So this character is really good for staying alive. His ultimate is not super strong from what I've seen so far. Like, I've landed it on people, like, pretty on point, and it doesn't really, like, one-shot. It more so stuns. So I think he needs a little bit buff in that area. But for the most part, I think he's an S tier before Diamond. He's too high of an A, but I would consider him like a really bottom S tier. Like, really teetering on A, but like super, super good. I've seen this character be good, but I'm going to put him B. He is good. At higher tiers, the only reason I put him as B is because you need too much aim. I think he's a solid character. I think you can carry with this character. I think he's so good. I think he has a lot of potential. But he's kind of like Tracer in Overwatch, where it's like really, really, really good character. Not everybody can play him. Iron Man, to me, is also a B. He's really, really good, but in the same boat, really got to understand positioning. Your job is to go into the back line and just insta-give one of their healers, and you can do this every time efficiently on Iron Man, but not a lot of people know how to do the flights with Iron Man yet. There's people in higher tiers, Diamond Plus. Iron Man will fly in a circle. They fly up, they crouch, they up, they crouch, and they fly in this little circle, and it's so insane, and it's so good. You won't find most people pre-Diamond doing this stuff. I think this character is insane. Magic. Here's the thing. It doesn't take a brain scientist to play this character. Play this character for a session. It could be S tier. She's definitely the best melee hero in the game. Extremely sticky, but people just kind of like spam buttons on her. Take the time, learn how to play her. She does insane damage. Punisher's a comfortable B. I've been playing Punisher. I main Punisher. You need to know how to aim. You need to know how to shoot. Definitely really, really strong. You more so have to like really focus on positioning, utilizing your shotgun, knowing when to ult, communicating with your team. But he also really excels when you have a rocket. I think if you had a rocket, he's quickly an A tier for sure. But without a rocket, he's kind of middle of the pack B. He's comfortable. You can carry. You can have bad games. He's kind of a hit or miss character. It really just depends. As long as you're utilizing your shotgun, deleting tanks, I think he's a tank destroyer big time. I think he's really, really good for that. Now, again, pre-Diamond, Storm is a C. Storm is a C character, but Storm is like a high C. She can be really good. I've seen some Storms absolutely pop off. She definitely can. She needs a lot of work for people to learn her. And I think there's too many better heroes on the list for people to pick Storm. She's definitely a sleeper. If you play specific characters, I think she's easily killable, counterable. She definitely is a great addition to a team. Definitely for like the team ups and stuff. But I don't see her beating out the rest of the list. Like if I have a Storm on my team, I'm not upset, but I definitely would much rather any of these heroes. I would say this character's A. 3 bullets. You gotta learn how to aim. You gotta hit those shots. The skill is a little bit too high. As you continually play this character or play against this character, he has like a blitzcrank hook, so he pulls people in. I've seen them hook you in, they pull you, and then they punch you into the back line. Usually it's like his ult. His ult is like, again! You know, so it's like he's definitely top of A, touching S. Spider-Man, pre-Diamond. Let me really lock in and tell you this. This character is so good. He's like a middle of the pack A. He is insane on the back end. He's everywhere. He's extremely hard to hit. A good Spider-Man could definitely change the outcome of a game. The mobility is really strong. This character's to look out for. He's tough. He's a tough character. Squirrel Girl, I might put her as C. And the only reason I'm going to put her as C is because there's no real brain with this character. You just kind of play it and you just spam, and sometimes you do good, sometimes you do bad. Sometimes shit, sometimes not shit. Whenever you see a Squirrel Girl, you're not really understanding what's happening to you when you die by her. She's basically just like a Junkrat. She just spams these rockets, and you'll just be taking continuous damage and not know why. It's because you're just getting hit by bombs. She's just more of a nuisance. If you have any one of these other characters, she can be dealt with pretty easily. Also want to preface something here. Every single one of these characters played at a very high level or a above average level of people who like main these characters. So the one trickers of the world, basically, playing these characters, every single one of these characters has the ability to carry. Wolverine, low-key, I was going to put him in the D tier because you never really see him. Thing is if you have a Wolverine, understand his abilities, and kind of really lock in, I think he's a low C. He does have survivability. He's kind of tough to kill, but apparently he's a tank shredder. So big tank shredder, if you're having difficulties with tanks, all that stuff like that, he's just really sticky, does a lot of damage, pulls people into fights. He needs a lot of work as a character. I've seen Wolverines carry. When you're playing against a Wolverine, it annoys you, but at the same time too, you're not really afraid of Wolverine. You're just kind of more like, let's deal with him. Iron Fist. Everyone said Iron Fist is broken, and I haven't seen an Iron Fist do broken things yet. He is extremely sticky. He has extremely good survivability. Pretty easy to understand for the most part. Practice with some skill. I think he's a solid B. He can definitely carry. He can definitely have his abilities to carry, but for the most part, yeah, I would say solid B. Lock it in. And that's going to be it for the DPS. That's my tier list for the DPS. I think with a breakdown and everything, I feel like this is solid. All right, we'll go to the healers, the supports. Adam Warlock. He's more so good because of his res, if you can get it off. His cocoon ability, which is also really good, and it pairs well with a few others. If you're not paying attention to him, he's kind of annoying. I'm going to put him as A. I want to put him as B, low key, only because people just don't pay attention, but he's kind of an A. I think he's a great healer. He has a strong burst heal that you kind of have to use, sparingly, but for the most part, I think he's a good healer. But yeah, Jeff. I don't want to put anyone C. I don't want to utilize these categories if I don't need to. Mainly because no healer in this game is bad. Like outright, like if you saw Jeff on your team, you're not mad about it, but you're also just like, we may need to switch you off. So the ult is Little Troll. It's really good. It's better on certain maps than others. Jeff is more of a situational pick. The way that the DPS meta is currently, you just need a lot of damage. Or you just need to a lot of burst healing for a lot of damage that you guys receive. Sometimes there's just not enough healing on the board. He's still good. Every healer in this game is good, and they're viable. It's more so what you need in the moment. And, maybe it's a situational thing where it's like Jeff is better on the map because your ultimate, you could get some crazy ults off. Stuff like that. And then we'll go on to Luna. S. S+. S++. Tons of healing. Her ultimate is the everything ultimate. It is the best ultimate in the game. Instantly saves your team from every single ult that is out there. The only thing that can kill her in her ultimate ability, I think, is like a headshot from Hawkeye. Moon Knight's ability, huge ults have to hit her in her ult, and even then, it just doesn't stop it. So she's really, really, really good. She saves her teammates from tons of fights. She has her own peel, so it's like she gets dove on, she can freeze them, and then kind of skate away and go to safety of her team. She's a very, very strong healer. S+ for sure. Loki. I'm going to put Loki at A, and the reason I'm going to put Loki at A is because he's a really good healer. He's great at keeping your team alive. He's great at being sticky, but his ultimate allowing you to copy everyone else's ult, whoever he, decides to copy. Double Luna ult, double Mantis ult. Even, if he wants to go on the offense, he can turn into Hela and pop a Hela ult. He can really be an annoying character where he could be a strong defense and then also a really strong offense. I think this character is a solid A. I think, great heals, great damage, great survivability, and can also teleport to his clones if he gets in trouble, depending on where they are. So, again, survivability-wise, I think the character is really, really good. Great design. I love it. Mantis is S tier. Mantis is probably the number one healer in the game, or the number one support hero in the game. I think the number one healer in the game is probably Luna. But Mantis, she is a DPS. She's a healer. She has her own peel. She does so much. And her AoE ult is it heals everybody the same as Luna and gives them a shield if it overheals. So she is definitely SSSS+. She's just all around one of the best healers in the game. Very little skill required once you get to know her. It's just one of the best healers. Rocket, I'm going to also put Rocket as B. He gets amplified if he pairs up with a DPS or even a Groot or anything like that. But his heals from range are so good. They're good. It's a great healing. It's in the same boat as Jeff, where it's not this instantaneous, huge burst of heals to bring a tank from, a low HP pool to a high HP pool if they're taking a lot of damage. But he is a sturdy B. And then Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger might be arguably on the same level as Mantis. Cloak and Dagger, ultimate ability, heals, survivability, damage, everything. If you learn this character, and I understand this is pre-Diamond, but this character is nuts. You get the AoE invincibility, your ult is AoE, and anybody standing in it takes damage. Anybody standing in it that is your teammates gets healed, and then you can't die in that heal. It's almost borderline impossible for you to die in that heal unless you get a one-shot ability. She has this dome that is also makes you impossible to die. So she has multiple abilities that when used in succession or used correctly, she can just stay up for a very, very long time. And then when you try to kill her, she's extremely difficult to kill. So this character, if you have the brain for it and you like a challenge, I think this is the difficulty healer of the category. That character right there, we will see in competitive. And that's it for the healers. That's it. Very quick. We have Strange. The tanks are very similar in rank. I think S tier because he just does everything good. Can keep his team alive, kind of like a Rein shield wall. He can teleport his team to the point and really create for some crazy clutch moments. I've done some clutch moments yesterday with his portal, back-to-back games. He's a great ult. Use your AoE ult, getting a lot of people in it, doing a lot of damage, everybody dies, right? Like, I think this character is just very good overall. The only thing I would say is not so good is just, like, his attack ability just feels very slow and kind of feels clunky. That's the only thing I don't like. I don't like his ability, like his hitting ability. It just kind of feels eh. But keep in mind, you're pairing this with your E, so that way you can explode people. Groot, S tier. Groot is great for walling off enemies, has really low CDs, does insane damage where you could just run up to people and just auto them. You can 3-shot most healers. Groot is nuts. I think Groot is like nuts to me. Like, I've played Groot, playing against a Groot. Now, the only way that Groot is not good is if you're playing as a solo tank. I definitely think there needs to be another tank in there. He can still solo tank. I just think that he does the most damage in terms of tanks. Like, you'll see a Groot at the end of a match have like 50 kills, and it's kind of insane. So if you're a DPS player and you are wondering what tank you should pick if you still want to feel like you're doing a lot of work, play Groot. Hulk's B. Hulk is a great tank, but he's not the most damage. Yeah, Hulk is more situational. Hulk is... I've seen some crazy Hulks. I've seen some crazy Hulks. I just don't think he does a massive amount of damage for the newer players that are playing this game. I definitely think he can need a buff in the damage department, but for the most part, I would say he's a B character for sure. Magneto, probably S tier. Magneto, just ultimate ability, one-shot AoE, has a shield on a very low cooldown, and has, similar to Zarya, has those bubbles that can save most of like everybody from abilities. So Psylocke ults one of your healers, you bubble them, they're alive, you can place your shield, then you place a bubble on yourself, then by the time your bubble's down, your shield is almost back up, so you pop your shield again, and you kind of run this off of like a cooldown. Not to mention he does a lot of damage, and he has like a huge health pool. He's just very good. He's an overall solid pick almost in every single situation. I would say that that he's definitely up there for sure. Penny, I'm probably going to put Penny also at B, but I also want to put, like, Penny is kind of like an A. Penny is kind of a situational on the map, which is the reason why I want to put her as B. On defense, I would say she's an A. On offense, I think she's a B. Penny just doesn't live enough because a lot of people in pre-diamond just, like, don't utilize her abilities correctly. But on defense, when she's able to set up her traps, she easily becomes an A. Because her trap, like, if once you get set up on point, it's nuts. But on offense, she's B. On offense, she's B. So if there was a middle tier, like, she'd be the only character in between, like, an A and a B. But I'll definitely keep her at B. Just because of the overall of, like, her offense is just that bad, personally. You guys really want her to be A? Really? You guys think she's A? Well, I've been vetoed. I guess it's an A. Thor, I think he's sticky. And I think he's a good tank. I kind of want to put him as A. Yeah, most Thors feed in my lobby too. Thor is one of those things where he could definitely stay alive. I think if Thor values his life and he plays efficiently and he kind of sticks in the back line, does a decent amount of damage, I think he can be good. But I think as of right now, whenever you have a Thor in your lobby, I just think not a lot of people understand the character fully to where he's not really dangerous. Now, Venom is an interesting tank. I'm going to put him as B. And the main reason I'm going to put him as B, wait, hear me out. Well, because he could be A. Solo tank he's ass. Venom, pre-diamond, you need to really understand the swinging. And you need to understand that you are a tank and not a DPS. 99% of the people that play Venom basically play him like a DPS. And you are, I guess you technically are supposed to play him kind of like a DPS tank. Like, great for dive. And I think if you're playing that composition, I think he's fantastic. But a lot of people that play Venom just go in, soak a lot of damage, and then get out, but there's no value, right? Like, you go in, you absorbed a lot of damage, you popped your safeguard ability, so you get a bunch of your HP back, and then you swing out and get heals, and then you go and do it again. Like, you're not necessarily, like, providing value, right? Definitely an annoying character. Like, when you're fighting the character, you're like, damn, this Venom is good. This Venom is like, oh my god, he's like sticky. But most times, how many times do you just see a Venom just dive at you, you shoot him, and then he just dive out, and you're like, I didn't almost die, but neither did you. This is the interesting one. I might be a little glazer for this Cap, but yo, I think Cap might be S tier, bro. Nah, he's A. Even pre-diamond, there's something about Cap. When you fight against Cap, I don't know why, but that motherfucker does not die. They go ape shit. Bro, top 500 Caps go fucking crazy. Like, I think Cap is actually meta. He is insane. Like, to watch a good Cap play the game, like, oh my god. His potential, he's probably, like, the best dive. I don't know if he's dive. He's just insane. I've seen, like, whenever I see a Captain America, I'm like, fuck. Honestly, whenever I see a Cap wear this skin, I see a Captain America wear this skin, I shitting myself. I am terrified of you. I would say Cap is probably A tier in Diamond, but what I really want is S tier. Me personally, I think he's S tier. But for the sake of this, Cap is a high A. With all the explanations and everything that we did, this is officially my tier list on DPS, tank, and healer at a pre-diamond level. And I think that's it. I think that's everything.